What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? It's your boy Jeremy back with another episode of No Huddle. Got my guy in the building, man. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, party people? I'm doing good, man.
Yes,
Looking
sir.
good over
Yes,
there,
sir.
brother. Got
Yeah.
that championship red on. I see you.
Oh yeah. Of course,
Game
man.
respect, game.
It's only right that I bring in the new year, with repping the colors. You know what I'm saying? Two-time champion, back-to-back champion, undefeated champion, new changing of the guard champion. You
Mm,
know, I'm just all
mm.
that in one, man. I
All that.
told you we was gonna have bullfrog leg soup on the menu, and that's what we had, man. That's what it was. That was my championship meal, So,
Yeah.
hey, shout out to my Bulldogs, man. Let me just put that on the screen for y'all. Back-to-back champions. My
At
boy
the back.
Stetson Bennett, did his thing. The defense did their thing. We just clicked on all cylinders, man. So that's what you're supposed to do when you playing inferior teams. Now, if it was Ohio State, and that would have been a different game, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we can only play who in front of us. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, "Oh, they had Marvin Harrison Jr. Y'all would have lost that game." We'll never know. Oh, they had whoever TCU supposedly lost or what. Man, at the end of the day, if we had our number one pass rusher, maybe that game against Ohio State could have been different. Because a lot of times when I watched that game, CJ Stroud was getting a lot of improvising plays where it was like he break containment and then yeah, so like a lot of that really wasn't on Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not saying he's not great because dude best receiver right now in college football in my opinion. But at the same time, man, we did what we had to do, and we went to the championship and took care of business in Georgia fashion. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm.
So
I'm just happy.
I got a question for you as a Bulldogs fan.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fair to say that Stetson Bennett is the greatest Bulldog?
I would say.
Has he done enough
I guess to me he's the greatest. He's the. To me, he's a legend in Georgia history, probably the most legendary because he won two. And to know his story of where he came from and to where he's at now, I would say he's legendary. To me, it was better players. But when you say who's the greatest UGA player based on championships, I have to give it to Stetson Bennett. But to me, even though I didn't get to see him, Herschel Walker by far was the better talent.
Gotcha.
But Stetson Benson, you got to give it to him, man. He did what he had to do. So at the end of the day, to me, he a legend. They should retire his number. I believe they should retire the number.
I dig it.
Yeah. So, but it's hard to say the greatest because in Georgia it's like, bro, we ain't had so much talent to come through here.
Yeah.
You still had a Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, AJ Green. Matthew Stafford, like you done had some great players. It's just that they never won, and Herschel Walker is the only one who did win.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't deny Stetson because he came in the first year, beat Alabama, came back the next year and went undefeated, and and won the championship again. So
and dominated.
Maybe you could also say his defense kind of saved him last year as well. So like that's the reason why I would probably not say he's the greatest Bulldog of all time. Because he had an elite defense. Herschel Walker, I don't know what type of team they had. I just know Herschel Walker. But, when you have a legendary defense, if we didn't have that defense last year, would Stetson Bennett have won all those games that he did? And then even this year, I feel like this year he can have a better case because the defense was good, but it wasn't how it was last year. And I don't feel like we really played a lot of great teams this year. Like I said, you can only play who on your schedule. But I feel like when you look at our schedule this year, you played Tennessee. Florida and Georgia is always going to be a big game just because you never know what you're going to get. LSU and the SEC championship. But other than that, you played teams that was like, you're supposed to beat them, But it is what it is, man. Yeah. But yeah, so welcome to another episode of No Huddle. We got some great topics lined up for y'all today. I was able to get a Fan of Atlanta 365 video done, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. One of those days, but I did go live that day, so it was a good little show. But thank you everybody for y'all continuous support. We coming to the end, of the first season. I think it's been great, man. I love it. I love it. I love debating every Saturday. And I just feel like, the show going to continue to grow. And we just hope y'all grow with us, man. Don't forget, tell everybody, man. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your...
Not the internet. Not the internet being the op, man. We'll give my co-host a couple minutes.
Okay, it didn't want me to finish.
Yeah, it didn't want you to be great.
It didn't want me to finish, but I'm gonna finish. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your Seattle Seahawk if you have one, because 49ers look like they about to be feasting on some bird tonight. But hey, they ain't my business. They ain't my business. I ain't got no playoff stake, So, but yeah, man, you good, bro? Like the jersey,
hey,
I like the Penn State.
Yeah, appreciate it. I had to throw something on for the set. We ain't win the chip yet, but if I could pick a consolation prize, the Rose Bowl would be one, especially against the Utah team that everybody was hyping up. Oh, it might be a mismatch. Look what they did to USC and da 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 da.
Yeah,
and we humbled them, and we look really good for the next couple of years. Yeah. With the talent that we have currently and the talent we have coming in, we have a really strong draft class. I believe we're like number 7, or at least in the top 10, according to ESPN. We have one of the best offensive linemen in high school coming. We have a really good safety, and we flipped a tight end that was supposed to go to Michigan. So I really like where we are. And the thing that I really love, as great as our quarterback has been over the past several years, this kid coming in, Drew Allar, looks like he might be the real deal. I mean, he's 6'5", 2 something, like 220, 230, somewhere in that range. And from everything I'm hearing, he has a rocket arm. So you pair him up with those 2 true freshman running backs that we have, and then our defense is continuing to get better. We have Manny Diaz going into now his 2nd season with us. Again, the sky's the limit. And even though Ohio State is really strong, Michigan is strong, I think because we're starting to compete talent-wise, that the gap is bridging. I don't think, again, we didn't beat both of those teams, but I think we have enough going into this next season that it could be the year. If not this year, next year, we could be in this playoff and make some serious noise. So
yeah, they supposed to be expanding the playoffs this year, upcoming.
Yeah,
so 12 teams, I think.
It'd be for 2024.
2024.
So this season, 2023 season upcoming, is going to be the last one under this 14 playoff, and then it's going to be 12 starting in 2024, and I'm excited for that.
So the playoffs probably going to start a little earlier. So you probably going to slam down the season to make time for the playoffs. Okay. Right. I mean, you that's going to be more competitive, in my opinion. I feel like that's how it should be anyway.
I agree.
The little 4 teams, the 4 teams is cool, but it still don't bring in the best teams, in my opinion. Like even this year, I think this year really proved that, hey, yeah, the 4 teams thing is not really a good idea. It's not really competitive when you don't have 4 complete teams that's playing against each other. Maybe if you added Ohio and Alabama in that playoff, maybe, who knows, or Tennessee or somebody, I don't know. Maybe it could have been a better playoffs, but I think Georgia and Ohio State was a good game if you watch that game.
Absolutely.
And then,
that was probably the best game of the entire.
That was the only good game. That was the only good game in that playoff series, because TCU ran through Michigan, and then we ran through TCU. So yeah, and
that makes me wonder if they did that if the Bulldogs did that to TCU, what would have happened to Michigan? I'm glad we won't have to find out, but I'm like, yikes.
I think it would have probably been a better game with Michigan, though.
Huh?
I think it would have been a better game with Michigan. I think TCU just kind of I think Michigan probably took TCU lightly, and TCU just kind of came out and hit them in the mouth.
Absolutely.
I don't think Tennessee played their best. I mean, I'm sorry, not Tennessee, Michigan. I don't think Michigan played their best game. I don't think that's who Michigan is, but hey, at the end of the day, that's what the playoffs is about. It's one and done. It's who's gonna show up that day. No matter if you had a better team on paper, At the end of the day, you got to go out there and play it on the field. So that's what happens. Yep. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get going, man. We appreciate everybody tuning in. If you in the building right now, man, shout yourself out. Let us know you're in the building. Please interact with these videos. We love the interaction. We love to answer y'all questions if y'all have any, or we love to read y'all comments when y'all do, comment. So please put that in the comment box, man. Don't forget, share, like, comment on these videos. If you got something to say, because we always gonna comment back. Go to YouTube right now and subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365 Network, where you can catch us live. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get notifications every time we go live or every time we post a video. Anytime we put any kind of content, out there, you'll get a notification letting you know, hey, tune in to Fan of Atlanta 365 Network so you can see what show is on, on the channel. So, hey, man, we gonna go up, man. We're going up from here, man. We're going up, but hey, we want y'all to be here while we growing, man. So let's go ahead and get to it, my brother.
Ready,
We got a little show. We got a little show lined up.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first topic, we coming in hot. We coming in hot with this first topic. Hold on, I got a picture. Hold on, let me go get this picture. We got to do it the right way. We have to do it the right way.
I'm not mad at it.
Got to do it the right way. Here we go. So as you all know, Lovie Smith and Kliff Kingsbury has been officially fired from their respective teams. The question is, what's your reaction to Lovie Smith being fired by the Houston Texans and Kliff Kingsbury being fired by the Arizona Cardinals?
So I'm going to kick this one off because I know I feel strongly about both of these situations, but I know you definitely feel strongly about them. I'll start with Lovie Smith. So his firing is indicative of what people in the industry and what we collectively have been discussing repeatedly. And it's that it's not a level playing field for Black coaches versus coaches who are not Black or non-white coaches. Like, when a Black coach specifically in the NFL is given an opportunity, unless it's a situation like a Todd Bowles situation where he inherited it from another coach who's retiring and they, went to the playoffs, won the Super Bowl the year before, we're usually given these trash jobs and we're expected to make mountains out of molehills. And the Texans over the past 2 to 3 seasons have been a dumpster fire of a team. And we saw what they did with David Culley before Lovie Smith. They gave him nothing to work with and then fired him before he even had an opportunity to make any impact on the team. And they did the exact same thing with Lovie Smith. Now, for comparison's sake, if people remember, currently the 49ers are playing currently. And when they hired their current coach and when they hired their GM, they gave them each guaranteed 5 years to turn it around. Now, if people don't remember that team, I don't even think the team prior to the changing of the coach won like 5 games.
Correct.
So they were one of the worst teams in the league. And they had very little talent. Salary cap was a mess, but they gave both the coach and the GM all the time to make it work. And now look what happened. Lovie Smith is not some, unknown, obscure coach. He comes from a legendary coaching tree. He comes from the Tony Dungy coaching tree. He's been on perennial playoff teams. He's been on highly competitive teams. He has a resume that he should have at least gotten another year. Especially because it's not a situation where, yes, they lost. Yes, they stunk for most of the year, but they were pretty competitive for the majority of the year without having a qualified quarterback, without having any semblance of an offense, and without having any defensive, power, like power impact players. Nothing. They narrowly beat the Eagles, who for many are one of the best teams in the league.
They almost beat the Chiefs. Again, another team that's one of the top tier teams in the NFL. And they've been competitive in every single game for the most part. And you fire a man like that, seemingly because he didn't lose the one game you wanted him to lose, which was the last game, so that they could get the number 1 seed. I mean, the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So, okay, fine. That's why you fired him. But he never – so basically you hired him, or you had him on the staff and promoted him or hired him to be the head coach, to be a lame duck head coach. And those are the kind of situations that most of black coaches find themselves in, that you're behind the 8 ball and you're set up to fail anyway. In comparison, Kliff Kingsbury had no business, absolutely no business being a head coach in the NFL. None. Granted, he came from college. Granted, he had a nice, run in college. But historically speaking, college coaches do not translate well when they're hired immediately from college to the pros. Since 2000, and I looked this up, I believe it was on NFL.com or ESPN or one of those. But since 2000, there's only been 2 coaches that have had winning records that were initially college coaches and then hired straight to the NFL. 2. One of them is Jim Harbaugh, who is now back in college with Michigan, and the other is Bill O'Brien, who is currently an offensive coordinator. 2. But have there only been 2 coaches hired? No, absolutely not. You have guys like Chip Kelly, even Nick Saban, all of these coaches over the years who come in and they're expected to be Urban Meyer. Again, Urban Meyer. And they're expected to come in and just leapfrog all of these other qualified, experienced head coaches, especially black and brown coaches. It's preposterous to me. And I guarantee it, like, if Kliff Kingsbury was, let's say it was DeMeco Ryans who inherited that team. Do you think the Arizona Cardinals would have given DeMeco Ryans or Eric Bieniemy or who's another hot name that should be on the list? Byron Leftwich. If any of those 3 or 4 black coaches who are overqualified, Byron Leftwich has won a Super Bowl, and he has coached the GOAT in terms of quarterbacks and NFL players. He's been the offensive coordinator for years with the Buccaneers. Eric Bieniemy, he's won a Super Bowl, and he's been offensive coordinator for one of the best, if not the best, quarterbacks in the NFL currently, and Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are not scrub guys that we're talking about, but year after year, they're getting passed over for opportunities. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, if they would have been with the Cardinals or they would have been with the Texans, unfortunately, they would have suffered the same fate as a Lovie Smith, as I forget the name of the head coach who was with the Dolphins, who is now a defensive Ryan Flores. They would have suffered, unfortunately, the same fate as these guys, where they're getting fired for doing their job, and they're getting fired for winning with teams that shouldn't even be competitive.
Yep.
So my reaction, I'm disappointed but not surprised in the Lovie Smith situation. And as far as Kliff Kingsbury is concerned, goodbye and good riddance. You shouldn't have had the job to begin with. And now you might have cost another black quarterback to lose out on a starting job, because I don't think the next coach is going to be as patient with Kyler Murray, even though Kyler Murray has not had a fair shake since he's been in the league. Part of that is his own making. But now his career is potentially in jeopardy because of your incompetence and your inexperience as a head coach in the NFL.
Yep.
I said what I said.
Hey, well said, man. Well said. But let's take this thing a step further. Your whole thing was on point, bro. I agree with everything you said. And when it comes to Kliff Kingsbury, you know how I feel about him. So I'm gonna be very, very short with him. And it's probably what one sentence. Kliff Kingsbury should have never been head coach in the first place. You said that. But due to his low melanin privilege, that's why he was qualified. I'm not going to even speak on him. He shouldn't have had the position in the first place. He sucked as a head coach for in the NFL. He should have started as a position coach first and then worked his way up. But due to popularity of college and, he's the next great thing, let's see what he can do in the pros, and they automatically just jump right to the head coaching position. To me, I think it never works out, in my opinion. I believe that you need to have some experience in the pros and before you become the head coach. Prove that you can do that in the pros by being an offense coordinator or a defense coordinator, whatever your respective side of the ball is. At least do that. I feel like you should at least have to start off from a position type of coach. But I don't mind you saying, okay, I'm going to be the offense coordinator, and then I'm going to prove that I can run an offensive playbook and the team. I'm in an offensive scheme in the pros, and then if I'm successful, I get a chance at the head coaching position. You do that, I have no issue. But unfortunately, due to you being a white coach, that automatically put you in the driver's seat without having to have any experience of driving. You don't even have to have a driver's license. You automatically get in the driver's seat. So Kliff Kingsbury, like you said, good riddance. You didn't deserve the job in the first place. And it's about time that they just got rid of you. But when it comes to Lovie Smith, this one hits me deeper because another year, another team that has done Lovie Smith wrong, in my opinion. But my notes I had on Lovie Smith was Lovie was fired because he won too many games, which prevented the Houston Texans from getting the number 1 pick overall to the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Which I feel like Lovie Smith won that game intentionally because he knew that they were trying to come after him, and they probably did the same thing they did to Brian Flores. Hey, if you take this game, we'll give you some money. And Lovie Smith gave them the old-fashioned, F you. That's what he did. And he did that by winning, going for a 2-point conversion to win the game. Also, the Houston Texans knew that Lovie Smith wasn't in their long-term plans, and they used him to buy time so that they can make time, so that they can go ahead and set the next coach up, which is probably going to be a melanin deficient person, coach to take over. And then when he comes in, now you got the top draft picks, you got the money. We already kind of see what we have that Lovie Smith has already built. And then you come in and you take these guys to the playoffs, and then you the hero. So we already know what this is. But let's take it a step further. What happened last year before Lovie Smith got the job? Brian Flores. He brought it to the attention of the world to say that black coaches, he brought his experiences to the forefront, which put pressure on the NFL to now we got to go out here and hire a black coach. So the Houston Texans, that job was still vacant at that time. And then after the Brian Flores situation blew up, even though they had just fired David Culley, and we'll get to him a little later, but even though they had just fired him, they had to go and get a black coach just to kind of, ease things down because things was wrapping up. So I think Lovie Smith was only chosen as their head coach just to alleviate that pressure, especially with the Houston Texans going through the Deshaun Watson situation at the same time. So let's talk about Lovie Smith, his career. He was the head coach of the Chicago Bears in 2004 all the way into 2012. Participated in the Super Bowl in 2006. Made history with being one of the first head coaches to coach in a Super Bowl against another black head coach. So that him and his protege, his teacher, his mentor, Tony Dungy. They both was in that Super Bowl. Fortunately and unfortunately, Dungy won that Super Bowl with the Colts, 29-17. Lovie was then fired after a 10-6 winning record season although he didn't make the playoffs, they did start off 7-1 in that season. And Jay Cutler ended up he did something to his hand or something, where he broke it or something like that, and he was out for the rest of the season. And Lovie Smith was only able to get to the team to 10-6, which 10-6
only
that's winning football, right? But at the end of the day, they fired him. Lovie Smith was then he did take off a year, 2013. He took off a year before he returned back to coaching. Lovie Smith was hired by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2014 after taking a 200, like I said, after taking that 2013 season off. Lovie Smith took on another team. One moment. When he was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he went 2-14 in 2014, 6-10 in 2015. Now we all know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at that time was called the Succaneers. He was asked to come in and build the 2002 Buccaneers again, or the 2003 Buccaneers again. We already know they did have Gerald McCoy. They did have Jameis Winston at the time, Mike Evans. I don't know if Chris Godwin was there yet, but I know they had Mike Evans. Chris Godwin wasn't there. But at the end of the day, that team wasn't good enough to compete. So Lovie Smith was again fired after he had already built the foundation. The Bucs started off his first year, they went 2-14. The next year they won 6 games and lost 10. So now you're starting to see, okay, he progressed from next year. Maybe year 3, we could probably have a winning record. Who knows? But they didn't allow him the chance to stay to see what can happen. So they fired him, and I always looked at Lovie Smith like how they did Mark Jackson in the NBA. He built this foundation, lost a lot with the Golden State Warriors, and then built this foundation. They fired him the next season. Steve Kerr come over and take over the team, and now they win the championship.
Also sounds like his mentor Tony Dungy, because he got fired from the Bucs.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And then he got fired by the Bucs, and then who took over that Bucs team and won the Super Bowl?
John Gruden.
John Gruden.
The racist John Gruden. So then who took over
Robert Lips John Gruden.
Right. Then who took over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after Lovie Smith? Dirk Cutter. And I knew about Dirk Cutter because he coached the Atlanta Falcons offense for many of Matt Ryan years, and we had some great teams under him. But I felt like he took over. Lovie Smith found the team that Lovie Smith kind of built, and then next thing you know, he was able to get them to the level where they're now competing. And then they brought in Tom Brady, and we all know what happened after that. But Lovie Smith is the one who set that foundation. So he was fired in 2015 after his losing season. 2016 to 2020, he became the head coach of the University of Illinois. Didn't really do research on his record there and all that good stuff. Didn't really care. But in 2022, after Brian Flores, exposed NFL owners, especially Miami Dolphins, he was hired as a head coach. Now, coming into this season, nobody expected the Houston Texans to. Everybody knew the Houston Texans would be the number 1 draft pick overall. Everybody knew that. We knew that. So you asked this man, you hired this man to bring him in to help change this Houston Texans and make them into a contending type team, which we all know it takes years to develop that. You don't just come in, you don't lose your top quarterback, lose your top receiver, lose your top defensive player, and then expect to just go to the playoffs next year. You have to build it up. It takes years. And so you only gave this man 1 year after doing a 3-13-1 record. He was fired immediately. So because he won that last game, that's what pretty much, when you look back at it, that's what got him fired. So let's kind of take this a step further. So that's just a little background of Lovie Smith, his career. So one of my points is Lovie Smith was fired. Lovie Smith's firing was another case of why the Rooney Rule has never worked. The Rooney Rule was established as a response to the 2002 firings of Tony Dungy of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Dennis Green of the Minnesota Vikings. Tony Dungy had just came off a winning season record and was fired. Dennis Green was fired after finishing his first losing record in 10 years. Shortly afterwards, the U.S. civil rights attorneys, Cyrus Mary, I guess I'm pretty sure I butchered that name, and actually the iconic Johnny Cochran, both of them released a study showing that black head coaches, despite winning higher percentage of games, were less likely to be hired and more likely to be fired than their white counterparts. Since the implementation of the Rooney Rule, the legislation has been revisited or revised 4 times, most recently with the Brian Flores case. Next point, Lovie Smith went into a situation that was stacked against him from the beginning. You brought him up before, Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was the head coach from 2014 to 2020 after his 2-year stint at Penn State as the successor of Joe Paterno, the late, great Joe Paterno. During his introduction press conference, Bill O'Brien stated, and I quote, "Today we receive a very harsh penalty from the NCAA, and as head coach of the Nittany Lions football program, I would do everything in my power not to only comply, but help guide the university forward to become a national leader in ethics, compliance, and operational experience. I knew to become a national leader, I knew when I accepted this position that it would be tough, that there would be tough times ahead, but I am fully committed to the long-term success of the Penn State and our student athletes." He did his first year. After his first year, he was named the coach of the year, finished with the best winning records in his first year in school history. So he is the only coach in a first year had a winning record. So we remember what he said. I'm here for the long term. I want to help turn this program around. In 2013, he was interviewed by Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns for a head coaching position vacancy. Bill O'Brien declined both jobs, issued a statement, and I quote, I'm not a one and done guy. I made a commitment to these players at Penn State, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to cut and run after 1 year. That's for sure." Next season, after a 7-5 record, Bill O'Brien was named the head coach of the Houston Texans, inheriting the team from full of talent that was left by Gary Kubiak. Mm-hmm. Some notable players that was on Bill O'Brien's team: J.J. Watt, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Arian Foster, Jonathan Joseph, DJ Swearinger, and then he ended up picking up Deshaun Watson in 2014. I'm sorry, 2016. I want to say 2016.
How many Pro Bowls amongst those players?
How many exactly? Y'all, you had arguably one of the greatest defensive players of all time on that team as well. You had one of the greatest receivers, Andre Johnson, and then you had DeAndre Hopkins. And Aaron Foster wasn't no slouch. No
slouch either.
Jonathan Joseph was a shutdown cornerback, and DJ Swearinger would knock your head off.
Clean off.
And then you brought in Deshaun Watson. Within his stint as the head coach of the Houston Texans, his record in 2014, he had a 9-7 record. Then made the playoffs. 2015 went 9-7, lost in the wild card to Kansas City Chiefs. 2016 9-7, beat the Oakland Raiders in the wild card, and then lost to the New England Patriots in the divisional round. 2017 went 4-12. Well, see, so he should be fired because Dennis Green got fired after 10 years and then had his first losing season. Okay. What was that? Okay, 2018 went 11-5, so he was able to turn the team around. Lost in the wild card to the lost in the wild card to the Indianapolis Colts. So he went 11-5 and then lost in the wild card. Okay. 2019 went 10-6, beat the Buffalo Bills in the wild card, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. So it seems like he can't make it out of the divisional round. Sometimes can't make it out of the wild card. 2020 went 0-4, which they end up firing him. Promoted Romeo Crennel as the interim head coach, which Romeo Crennel went 4-8. Of course, Romeo Crennel didn't get the job. David Cooley comes in, hired in 2021. After a 4-13 season record, fired. Lovie Smith takes over as the head coach in 2022, goes 3-13-1, fired. So all that being said, Lovie Smith was another casualty of the so-called Rooney Rule that was supposed to help minority coaches, specifically black coaches, that it has never helped before. In fact, it made our case worse. It made our situations worse. What we're doing is you're telling black coaches to come into a situation and to take this bottle right here and turn it into wine. And this is water. This is water in here. Hey, turn this into a wine bottle and make wine in it. Like that's really what you're telling them to do. Something that's impossible. And so for me, Lovie Smith, I'm happy that he was fired because it's another way for us to talk about this. And I don't think the Houston Texans was the best situation for Lovie Smith. I believe Lovie Smith deserves a real chance with a team that can give him a chance to win, because we know Lovie Smith is a winning coach. He's a legend coach in the NFL. When you talk about the history, you have to mention Lovie Smith. And I just don't think Houston even deserved his time, just like they didn't deserve David Cooley time. I felt like both of those hires was more of due to the pressure of black coaches not getting opportunities, and they felt like, well, let's try to be on the right side of history. Once again, it's the NFL checking that box, and that's all that was.
To add to what you're saying, specifically as it relates to Bill O'Brien, because he's a sore spot as a Nittany Lions fan, because I remember that. And he took over a Nittany Lions team that was in the midst of one of the worst periods any school could have gone through, right? And like you said, he said all the right things and did all the right things for about a year and a half, and then was gone. So I have a finger that I could give, but this is a family show. We're gonna avoid
same finger that Lovie Smith gave to the Houston Texans.
Basically, that part. However, my point in his career, Bill O'Brien's career with the Texans, not only was he their head coach, he was also their GM.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't remember that. So you gave this man basically the keys to the kingdom, because as a GM, you have pretty much full autonomy over personnel, and you also have full autonomy over the operation on the field.
Yep.
So you had basically full creative control over the Houston Texans for what, 3 or 4 seasons? 4 seasons?
Yep.
They wouldn't even dream of giving a black coach that. And I could understand if he was a legendary head coach. Like some coaches that come to mind who could or should have that. Bill Belichick.
Yes.
Easy. Bruce Arians. Okay. Even Mike Tomlin.
Andy Reid.
These are the caliber of coaches that should have that.
Mm-hmm.
Not Bill O'Brien, especially because he came from college. What? And then they gave him opportunity after opportunity to turn it around before he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Hall of Fame level talent. But you fired David Cooley. You fired Lovie Smith when they have, no disrespect to any of the players on these teams, but you don't even have practice squad. You have glorified practice squad players.
Right.
You have players who wouldn't even be number 3 on the depth chart at their positions on teams like the Eagles, on the Bills, on, you know, the Chiefs.
Right.
And he's not only made them respectable, he's made them competitive, even though they were one of the worst teams. But they honestly, from the effort, they never quit on him. They were in a lot of games that they really shouldn't have been on.
Yep.
And they honestly, the way they looked, they were a step below where I saw the Lions, or where we both saw the Lions, but you called it first, where the Lions were last year.
Yes.
And I will say this really quick. It's an aside, but the NFL, there was an article that ESPN came out with. What's going on, Merrick? I see him in the chat.
Merrick?
What's going on, brother? But I saw it on ESPN. They had an article in which the NFL, people within the NFL circles were upset with how the officiating went during the Seahawks-Rams game. And why that's relevant, because the Seahawks won that game, it kept the Lions out of the playoffs.
Yep.
And the problem with that is, okay, wins and losses happen in the game, but it should never be because the officiating was so inept, or that there were certain calls that were missed. Like there was a roughing the kicker penalty that was called when that shouldn't have been called. For example, there was a taunting penalty late in the game that wasn't called after an interception from the Seahawks. Those are critical calls that you shouldn't miss in a game. Yep. And especially when that game has potential playoff implications. Correct. So I'm saying all that to say the Lions were a game away from making the playoffs. And the year before, they weren't a good team, but they were a competitive team. Correct. They were a team that gave you effort. What does that sound like? That sounds like the Texans right now. Who's to say if the Texans don't mess around and get like a Bryce Young type of quarterback and make a couple key trades and a couple key signings in the offseason. Let's say they mess around and make the playoffs. With the foundation that Lovie has set and the accountability that he's set and the effort that he got from these players, when he really they shouldn't have won any games. Let's be honest.
Right.
They shouldn't have won any games. The mere fact that they won as many games as they won is a credit to his coaching and the fact that the players collectively bought in to what he was preaching and what he offered as a coach.
Right.
And instead of rewarding that because, hey, damn, you made us respectable. You fire a man because he didn't win, because he lost the game that you wanted him to lose. But his whole entire job is to put his players in positions to be most successful, i.e. to win games.
Correct. How do you, as a head coach, sorry to cut you off. How do you, as a head coach, go into an NFL locker room and say, "Hey guys, we losing this game because we need to tank for the draft"?
This isn't the NBA where you can trust the process. They don't play that many games. You can't do that in the NFL. Right. It's not.
Contracts are not guaranteed either.
Right.
I'm going out here playing to lose, but I get hurt in my career. Now I just wasted another year of my. Or if I'm an old player and I want to win a championship, like you telling me to go out here and just lose and hope that we get the number 1 pick just so we can bring this guy in and then he end up being a Baker Mayfield or Ryan Leaf or something like that. Like
or a Zach Wilson.
Exactly.
So the whole thing stinks. It's trash, and like it makes me frustrated because you're not wrong about the Rooney Rule. Since it's been implemented, I guess it was a good effort, but poor execution.
Yeah.
And poor accountability, because what you also alluded to, but we didn't really discuss, is not only are you making it harder, you're putting these non-white coaches in positions to have sham interviews where you'll have them interview for jobs that they really were never in the running for, just to check off a box. Say, hey, no, we complied with the Rooney Rule.
Right.
You know, look, we gave him an interview, but we went with a better fit. Code word for we went for someone who we're more comfortable with.
Yep, exactly.
And with the ownership group looking the way it looks in the NFL, we know what that means.
Correct.
But I'll spell it out. I mean, you're going to hire people who you're more comfortable with. And if the ownership is majority white and majority middle-aged, they're going to tend to trend in that direction. And you can even see that with the kind of coaches that are being hired year in and year out. Yep. And the type of latitude these coaches are given. Because a situation like Urban Meyer, even though, you know, they're owned by Shad Khan, who is one of the minority coaches or owners. If he were on another team, who knows? They might have given him another year. They might have made an apology tour for him and said, oh, well, you know, we're a team of second chances and, you know, but we expect da-da-da-da. And they would have given him another year. But I think because of the owner, not just because he's a minority, that has nothing to do with it in that way. I think Shad Khan noticed, look, you're giving me a terrible product on the field, and then you're embarrassing my organization off the field. And I can't afford to stomach both. But I think another ownership group might have. Yeah. And that's indicative of a systemic issue in the NFL that needs to be addressed. And the Rooney Rule is not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now you got somebody like Eric Bieniemy, who so-called got interviewed by the Indianapolis Colts. We'll see how that turned out.
Now, I personally hope that he gets a team like the Indianapolis Colts, because they're a team. I hope so too. You know, because they're a team that's stable. They're a team that, you know, historically has been one of the better franchises in the NFL. Right. And the owner has shown an ability to be more loyal to his coaches. Although there was a coach, and he also did dirty by the Lions some years back. I don't remember his name. Black coach, very competitive. He actually took over the Colts. Jim Caldwell. They did him dirty.
Yeah,
they did him dirty.
Yeah. What about? I think Eric Bieniemy should get that job, because
I hope so.
The Colts are actually in talks with the Chicago Bears trying to get that #1 pick. You bring in a Bryce Young. Now Eric Bieniemy is coming in with his quarterback.
Right.
So maybe that may be a reason why he may get hired by the Indianapolis Colts.
And it's not even just about him. I would love if that happened. But the other thing, because this is a two-part issue in my opinion, based on what you've expressed and what we've discussed. One is they're not given the tools to be successful in terms of players and in terms of like a decent salary cap situation. Mm-hmm. Number one. And then two, they're not given enough time to even see if their process works.
Correct.
So it's either they get one or they get the other. It's either, okay, you might get the quarterback, but we're only going to let you be a coach for 1 or 2 years and expect you to turn it around or win us a championship overnight, even though they hardly ever do that with white coaches.
Correct.
We just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest problem for me, and it's atrocious.
Yeah. Well, we hope Lovie Smith get another job. I'm pretty sure he's probably not going to get a head coaching position. I would love to actually see him fill that Falcons defensive coordinator position. I think he's more of a defense coach.
Absolutely.
So I would love to see him come in and fill that defensive coach vacancy that we have with Dean Pease retiring. I think that'll be a good pickup for the Atlanta Falcons. But we'll see. But I love Lovie as a head coach. If I had a team, Lovie would probably be one of them, a candidate. He would definitely be a candidate for my head coaching position. Because at the end of the day, when you look at his career, I mean, Bill O'Brien didn't do anything, and he got a chance. Lovie Smith went to a Super Bowl. Haven't won it, but he went to a Super Bowl. And in my opinion, I believe that's better than Bill O'Brien riding on the coattail of other coaches to get to the championship games.
Agreed.
So that's but great topic, man. Great topic. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. We want to shout out everybody in the chat. Shout out to Mary Galar, interacting with us. Shout out to him. Always in the chat, always on every video, man. So appreciate your support. We're gonna get to this next topic. And it's another big one, man. It's another big one that we've been kind of like playing with for the longest. Hey, it's time to make these Super Bowl predictions, man. It's time to make another Super Bowl prediction. So who do you have going into this Super Bowl with the playoffs already set? Hey, man, who you got?
Hey, I have the 2 number 1 seeds. I'm going chalk, man. I'm going chalk. I got the Eagles and the Chiefs, man. It's that simple. I'm going chalk, man.
Okay. So in the AFC, as I said before, I believe that the most complete team is the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals to meet the Chiefs in the AFC Championship and ink out a win against the Kansas City Chiefs to make it to their second Super Bowl in a row. Hopefully this time, like I predict, they will be playing the Minnesota Vikings, who I believe is the most complete team, not consistent, but they are the most complete team in the NFC. One of the most complete teams. I believe that the Eagles are complete. I think the San Francisco 49ers are complete. But I think Kyle Shanahan gets in his own way, so he would trip up. And the Eagles, y'all already know how I feel about the Eagles. I'm gonna give them a little bit more respect, though. I feel like the Eagles. Hopefully, they can. I think they'll make it to the NFC Championship, but then Minnesota will end up winning that game. So I got the Cincinnati Bengals. With the Minnesota Vikings, and I actually got the Cincinnati Bengals win that game. I know we didn't want to, do the winning. I got the Cincinnati Bengals as your Super Bowl champions.
I got the Chiefs, but I respect it. So for me, I feel like those 2 teams to me are the 2 teams now out of the AFC. I think it's the Bengals and the Chiefs, and then it's everybody else. So that would have been my AFC championship as well, because those 2 teams seem to be the most complete. But out of the 2, I do believe that the Bengals are the better team from top to bottom, because they have a better defense and they're more complete on offense to me. And that's saying something with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and those guys. But I do think in a game like that, the combination of Patrick Mahomes, I think he's figured out how to play within himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's figured out, I think something clicked for him after last year losing the way that he lost in the playoffs. I don't think he expected to lose to the Bengals, right? And I think he realized, okay, I was maybe trying to do a little too much. And I think him losing the luxury of having a Tyreek Hill, a deep threat, stretch the field kind of receiver, has forced him to play more sound. And I think that will ultimately be the difference in a game like that. That and the coaching expertise of Andy Reid and the offensive play calling of Eric Bieniemy. But the real X factor is the fact that this Chiefs defense, although they're not statistically great, they get pressure at the quarterback. And I think those 2 teams will play in the AFC Championship. I believe so. And I think it'll come down to a last-second play. And I think it'll be one of those situations where whoever has the ball last is ultimately going to win the game. And I expect the Chiefs to be that team. So
pretty much you saying whoever last best.
Oh, yeah, in the AFC. Right. That's what I believe. And I just believe that the Eagles, they're the team that, again, this is all contingent on Jalen Hurts' health. But he played decent enough in their last game to get the first round, get the first round bye. And now Lane Johnson, who was injured and is a key part of their offensive line and was just awarded another All-Pro season, is going to be back for the playoffs. He's not 100%, but he's still at even a compromised Lane Johnson is better than virtually any other player at his position. So he changes the dynamic of that offense. But him being back, it solidifies it a little bit more. And assuming that Jalen Hurts is even at 85 to 90%, that's enough to beat the teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
Part of the reason they didn't beat the Cowboys is because Jalen Hurts was in street clothes.
Yeah.
Because Jalen Hurts has shown this year that he's not going to have a game where he's having 3-4 turnovers. That was the difference in that Eagles-Cowboys game.
Yep.
And they possibly could face them again. And the way the Cowboys looked this year and looked the last time they played, I wouldn't be scared of them.
Right.
The Eagles have already beaten the Vikings. Now it's a different Vikings team.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Now that's the only out of those teams, the Bucks. I think Tom Brady has potentially the chance to win one more game in this playoffs, but I think they're going to be out. I'd be highly surprised if this current Bucks team makes it to the NFC Championship. So what does that leave? And the 49ers, they're really impressive. I mean, they're beating. Last I checked, they were mopping the floor with the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the inexperience of not being there is going to start to show in the playoffs, because it's not like they have another game. These defensive coordinators, they spent weeks keying in, or they have an entire week to focus just on you and not worry about the next game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to hurt somebody like Brock Purdy. So, process of elimination, I'm going chalk.
Okay. Well, we definitely got some good Super Bowl picks, I believe. You going with you going with all the number ones, I'm going with all the number twos.
I'm not mad at it.
Yes, sir. And we got the 1 and 2s meeting up in the AFC Championship. So in both championships. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the next topic. Before we do that, man, we just want to everybody, if you're listening right now, man, go to YouTube right now, subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365, the network, and and catch these videos live every time we go live. Hit that notification bell so that you can get a notification sent to your device, so it could let you know, hey man, no huddle on. I'm about to go. I gotta watch no huddle, or Fan of Atlanta 365 is on. I gotta go catch my guy. So definitely hit that subscribe button, man. Like, share, comment on these videos if you got something to say, because we always gonna comment back, man. Let us know, man. Let us know you're in the building. Shout yourself out. Let us know you're in the building so we can interact with y'all. We appreciate y'all support, man. Don't forget, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your pet Seahawk if you have one. Because like I said, the San Francisco 49ers is having some Seahawk stew tonight. You know what I'm saying? But African style too, over rice.
Yeah. That's the only way.
But So we're gonna go ahead and get to this next topic, man. You got anything before we move on?
Nah, man. Let's run it.
You ready?
Let's run it.
You ready? All right. So it's gonna be another great topic to discuss. We got a big one right here. Who is more deserving of the Coach of the Year award? Would you say Doug Pederson, Pete Carroll, or someone else?
This is an interesting one. So there are a couple of coaches who were deserving. Brian Daboll and what he's done with the Giants. Pete Carroll, trading away arguably your franchise player and then pretty much picking up where you left off is very impressive.
With Geno Smith.
Yeah, with Geno Smith, with technically a journeyman, long-time backup, considered past his prime,
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if I had a vote, I'm picking Doug Pederson. For a multitude of reasons. The first of which, the year before, they were 3-14. 3-14, right? Coming into this year, ESPN.com, NFL.com, and SportsIllustrated.com all ranked the Jacksonville Jaguars as the number 27th team out of 32 teams, right? And then to make matters worse, the whole Urban Meyer fiasco happened. So for me, the way I look at coaching, especially, I'm going to give you credit if you go from worst to first. They were the bottom feeders in the AFC South, and they even started off like pretty rough. But along the way, they were able to right the ship enough to not only make the playoffs, but win their division in the span of a year. They won 9 games when they won 3 games. So they won three times as many games this year as they won last year in 1 year. And granted, I mean, they pretty much brought back the same team. I mean, they did make some key acquisitions. They got the linebacker from, the Falcons, who has had a renaissance of his career.
4-year Lorquan. 4-year
Lorquan, right. Who I believe is the leader in tackles this year. If not in the top 3.
He was leading our team in tackles every year. So I wouldn't be surprised.
And he picking up where he left off with another team. He out there in Duval doing his thing. So the
Falcons just couldn't afford him. That's the only reason.
Cap casualty.
Yeah.
So my thing is, for you to have all of that happen and essentially look at Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, people were starting to question, is he trending towards a bust? And now he's looking like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback in 1 year. This team is almost unrecognizable. So for me, there are a lot of even Nick Sirianni for the Eagles deserves some consideration. But and even the Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
But for me, if I had to vote, I'm picking Doug Pederson. What about you, man?
If I had to vote right now, who should be considered the head coach of the year? Realistically, I'm saying Nick Sirianni. That was a fella at the Eagles. I mean, to lead them, all season, pretty much been dominating all season. Made it to have the first seed. Nobody expected Jalen Hurts to be where he's at. Nobody expected the Eagles to be where they're at, even though they did have a nice little offseason where they made the trade for A.J. Brown, brought in some great draft picks. And, I felt like, but nobody's seen number 1 seed in the Eagles. Nobody's seen, I think they made it all the way into like 9-0 or maybe even more than that before they lost their first game.
Yeah, they're like 10 or 11
10-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, nobody saw that. But we already know that there are coaches that's right now that we know. Andy Reid, how he was able to turn the Chiefs around. Start off with a slow. I think they had a slow start and then they turned it around. Kyle Shanahan with the San Francisco 49ers after the trade deadline brought in C-Mac and continued on, even though starting off with Trey Lance, and then Trey Lance looks like a bust, and then you brought in you brought back Jimmy Garoppolo, and then he ended up getting hurt, and then you come in with Mr. Irrelevant, and you're still able to win games, which you're about to win a playoff game with this man.
Oh, they won. It's the final score is 41-23.
Come on now. So at the end of the day, yes, Kyle Shanahan deserved a look. Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they picked. Everybody thought maybe they could be, maybe that was a fluke last year, and so far he's showing like, nah, it wasn't no fluke. That was real. Sean McDermott with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they had a good season as well. But when you're looking at those coaches that should be considered as well, that wasn't really expected to be where they're at, like you said, Doug Pederson led the team to the AFC South division champ. They the division champs. With a chance to, make it to the second round of the playoffs tonight. No one expected the Jaguars to be where they're at. Pete Carroll started off hot in the beginning with a Geno Smith of all quarterbacks. like you said, took a journeyman and won with this talent. Had that defense looking good. Although no one expected the Seahawks to be where they at, he did it without Russell Wilson and without Bobby Wagner.
That's true.
Huh?
No, I was saying that's true. I forgot about Bobby Wagner. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's been able to win some key games and was able to, punch his ticket into the playoffs last week. And then, Green Bay went out there and lost to the Lions. Brian Dable, led the team to a playoff berth with Daniel Jones at the quarterback position. Nobody expected Daniel Jones to get them there. He helped revitalize Saquon Barkley and establish a solid defense. They have a good little defense.
Right.
Another team that performed above expectations.
Right.
And then you got Kevin O'Neal, who you alluded to earlier with the Minnesota Vikings, has his team in the number 2 seed. Helped win the NFC North when Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers had been dominating that for years. Traded for TJ Hawkinson and has the Vikings as one of the Super Bowl favorites going into this playoffs. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of coaches that deserve it. But if I had to give it to the realistic coach of the year, it would be Nick Sirianni because he did it all season. And the only time that he did lose to the Washington Commanders, but only other times he lost was with Gardner Minshew as his starting quarterback, and they still almost won those games as well. It wasn't like they just got blew out. They was in those games and just didn't have enough to get over the top. So, but if I had to go with a coach that nobody expected to be in the running, I would probably go with probably not Kevin O'Neal because I felt like Minnesota Vikings wasn't bad. They just wasn't great. So I would probably say you could definitely make a case for Doug Pederson, and I feel like Pete Carroll definitely, but I would probably go with Brian Dable because the Giants, everybody expected the Giants to pretty much have a top pick overall. Nobody expected them to be in the playoffs. Even when they started off hot, we was like, okay, they're going to simmer down. They never did. Right. They kept winning and got themselves into the playoffs, even with that type of division that they were in. So I would probably say Brian Dable probably was the most impressive head coach when you're looking at those bottom level teams that made it to the top. And we already know if the Jets had a quarterback, who I would have went with. But they ain't got no quarterback.
They damn sure don't, man. And it's really sad. That was a waste of a championship caliber defense this year.
Yeah.
If you're a Jets fan, I'm sorry, man. Y'all hang in there.
If you're the Jets, would you trade up to get Justin Fields and then let the Chicago Bears? I guess that wouldn't be a good thing because you would need to trade up to get Justin Fields, but then just the Bears would lose out because then they would need a quarterback. So yeah, I forget I said what I said.
Or if you were the Jets, do you find a way to trade up and snag a top tier quarterback?
Bryce Young or CJ
Stroud.
Yeah, because you got the picks.
You got the picks. You got the cap space.
Yeah.
Might even be able to work something out. You eat one of those trades where it's like, all right, we'll offload a contract for y'all.
Right. Right.
And get a pick or two, move up.
Yeah.
Get your guy. Yeah, because that's literally the only thing that stopped them. Because the defense played lights out.
You have a running back. You got a running back.
Yeah, Breece Hall will be back.
Traded for James Robinson.
Right.
Receiver wise, you got Garrett Wilson Jr.
Right. Exactly.
Now imagine if they would have picked up Justin Fields and then you picked up Garrett Wilson Jr. in the next draft, who he played with at Ohio State.
Lord have mercy.
With that defense that they have with Sauce Gardner.
Right.
they supposed to be better.
They might have competed for the AFC East title, which is wild to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that defense, and again, like a healthy Breece Hall, for example, yikes. It's not all bad though, Jets.
It's not all bad. They can definitely wing a quarterback in this draft. Try to get one. You could probably trade up to that number 3 pick overall, and try to get the third best quarterback. I believe C.J. Stroud would probably be a good one, but I know Houston ain't gonna be willing to. Houston taking whoever trade up and get that number 1 pick. Houston taking the next quarterback. That's smoking. So you're probably gonna have to get like a Will Levis somewhere like somebody like that. But yeah, maybe go get a Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett out there.
That's a reach, bro. That's a reach, my guy.
That's gonna be a reach. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a reach.
They can stand pat and probably get him mid-round at worst case scenario.
Maybe a Lamar Jackson. Just spend the money. I mean, come on. It don't seem like Lamar going back to Baltimore. So
it doesn't. It's not looking good at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get to this last part, and we want to do instead of doing our lock surprise pick and our week game of the week picks, we decided to go ahead and predict the first round of the playoffs, which is the wild card. We know that San Francisco and the Seattle Seahawks has already played, and I think the next game will be coming on at 8:30. So we already knew those. We already know where each other stand on those picks, but we'll still address those. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. We got the first game of the night. We have the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Hey, bro, who you got?
Well, I had the Niners.
They're both had the Niners.
Better team.
Yeah, we both had the Niners on that game. The next game for tonight, you got the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. Who you got, bro?
I got the Bills, man. I got the Bills.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Bills as well. No Tua Tagovailoa.
Right.
So, I feel like Buffalo should be able to win this game.
Yeah, congratulations on a wonderful season, Miami.
Yeah.
Look forward to next year.
Yeah, you ain't going to be able to do it without a quarterback. I mean, you do have weapons that could probably help you, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a quarterback, it just ain't going to work. And Buffalo Bills ain't no slouch. They got their number 1 receiver. I mean, their number 1 cornerback. So they're gonna be ready to come out there and get a game.
And I think they're gonna play inspired because now that they know that Damar Hamlin is home, and I think they're gonna come and bully the next team they face, which unfortunately is a team that is down to their number 2 quarterback.
Correct.
Who they've already beaten before.
Yeah. Oh man, I never added them to the thing, but this is actually the game that's coming on tonight. The LA Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who you got, bro?
So I have the Jags because I don't trust the Chargers, and I certainly don't trust their quarterback yet.
I got the Chargers on this one because I just feel like, just like how you don't trust Justin Herbert, I'm not sold yet on Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs. And Justin Herbert haven't did anything in the playoffs either, but I feel like they will play inspired through the defense, and the defense is what's going to help win this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to be a close game. It's not going to be a blowout, but I definitely got the Chargers winning the game in a nail biter.
Fair enough.
Next, we got the New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings. Who you got, bro?
I got your NFC representative. I got the Vikings.
Yeah, I got the Vikings as well. I feel like the offense must put up some huge numbers, and I believe they will. I think they got too much firepower, and I feel like I trust Kirk Cousins at least in this game over Daniel Jones.
Fair enough.
But I do hope Saquon go off.
That part. Pride of Penn
Next,
State.
we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Who you got, bro?
I got the Bengals. And it's funny. Somebody reminded me of when I said a certain team was going to win the AFC North.
Oh yeah, I had to see that. I was going back because I'm gonna give you the final score of the lock picks and all that. And as I was going back through them videos, I just so happened to stumble across a video where somebody was saying, "Oh yeah, when the Baltimore Ravens win this division, Lamar Jackson gonna do this and Lamar." And I was like, "Hey man, you forgetting about the Cincinnati Bengals?" And somebody was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's the Baltimore Ravens."
Now I did say with the caveat if they were healthy, but I guess you can never expect that with the Ravens. So I got egg on my face. It's fine. But I'm still picking the Bengals.
You still got the Bengals. Yeah, I got the Bengals as well because they my Super Bowl team, so I got to go with the Bengals, right? You know, no Lamar Jackson. He's, of course, that knee ain't together yet, or ankle. One of them, they ain't together yet. He ain't got no money on it. So you know what I'm saying. That knee got to get better when that money. You rub some money on that thing, it'll be right. You know what I'm saying? So. That ain't gonna happen. So I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Tyler Huntley, I like him, but I don't love him in this situation. Cincinnati offense is just too powerful to trust Tyler Huntley to keep up with the points that the Cincinnati Bengals are gonna
against that defense too.
Yeah, against that defense as well. Yeah. And it's a division game, so anything, you know, all that record and all that goes out the window. But at the same time, I just feel like Cincinnati Bengals are more poised. And then we got the last game, which is probably one of the games that we both gonna have our eyes on. Maybe not you, because you don't care nothing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who you got, bro?
It's rare that I pick this team to win anything, but I got the Cowboys. Even though both of these teams don't inspire a whole lot of confidence, and the Cowboys looked awful the last time they played. But I still feel like even with all of that being said, they have a little more firepower and a little bit more on both sides of the equation, offensive, defense, than this Bucs team currently has. This Bucs team is old, slow, and they struggle to score points unless it's like a 2-minute offense to potentially win the game on a last second kind of situation. I think Brady magic is going to run out this game, and who knows, this could potentially be his last game as an NFL quarterback. So, but I don't expect him to win.
For me, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the upset. Cowboys will find a way to lose the game, although they're more talented. They have more players that's poised to take that next step. But Dallas. And one thing, Dallas have never beat Tom Brady.
That's true.
Never beat Tom Brady, just like the Atlanta Falcons. Fortunately, we did get our first win against Tom Brady, even though he went out in the second quarter. But you know, we beat him. We shut the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense out in the second half. They scored 0 points. So shout out to my Falcons. But Dallas have never beat Tom Brady. It's in Tampa Bay. And then Mike McCarthy will be exposed once again that he's just not that guy.
He's just
a coach. So I got a root for the black quarterback. I mean the black coach, Todd Bowles. So I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This for the NFC South.
I respect that. I know, you know, what can go wrong will go wrong with the Cowboys. I just think it's next week because I believe it's going to be even more painful.
Oh yeah, the higher they get, the harder to fall. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like impartial for both. I wish both of them can lose, but unfortunately, they got to play each other. So somebody got to win. But before we get offline, I would like to crown the champ tonight. You know, with a 32-24 lead in the lock pick, surprise pick. Game of the week picks. We got to give it to my guy with the Penn State jersey on, man. My boy, he came back on me and blew me out the water. So we got to go ahead and go with my guy, man. So congratulations, bro.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna give myself the spoken word claps. Yes. Nah, you know, it feels good to be home, back where I belong as king of the thing. You know, like one of my favorite TV characters says, Raymond Reddington, I never tire of being correct. Feels good, man. But I appreciate it.
You've been saying it all season, bro.
Yeah, man. You made me sweat, man. You made me sweat it out. You made me earn it, and I appreciate that.
Man, I was going through putting the tallies on here. I was like, oh, bro, he just like there was times where you made the wrong pick in the beginning, and then you changed your pick, and I'm like, God damn it. Here you go.
That's that intuition. That's that divine intuition. Like Jay-Z said, I'm connected to a higher power. That's what I came.
But yeah, nah, man, that was definitely fun. We gotta definitely bring that segment back next year.
Yeah,
if we
man.
can. You know, I know we're gonna talk off season, you know, and try to get this show to another level. But and also, man, we want to make sure that we giving y'all the show that y'all want to see as well. So if y'all a fan of the show, please let us know. You know, give us some feedback. What segments that you like? What segments you would like to see us do? Like maybe you got some creative ideas that you would want to see us do. You know, just let us know in the box. Definitely comment, man. We love interaction. We want to make this show the best for y'all, man. So like, definitely give us some feedback. Let us know. Our first season is almost over on this show. So next season we hope to progress, and we want to make the show better for y'all. We want it to be entertaining because this show takes a long time. You know, it's a lot of behind the scenes, you know, research and all that good stuff. And then when this camera go on, you know, it's game time. But at the same time, we know these shows can go long because, you know, you never know how long the topic is going to be. So we want to make sure that we making y'all time worthwhile. When y'all join us, we want to make sure we entertaining y'all. So y'all definitely let us know, man. Give us some feedback. Let us know what y'all want to see. Let us know what y'all want us to keep. You know, we just want to make sure that we giving y'all the best content, man. So
indeed.
It's been another episode of No Huddle, man. Thank y'all for joining. You know, next week we'll be back, same time, same day. Catch us live 7:00 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, and we'll talk about some more topics, and we'll give y'all our predictions for the divisional round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that y'all was entertained today. We hope that y'all learned some stuff because I know I did. I learned a lot doing some research on that first topic, especially. But at the same time, you know, we just want y'all to keep joining us every week, man. But go to YouTube right now. If you hear me right now, man, go to YouTube, subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365, the network. Also, hit that notification bell for your boy, man. You know, hit that notification bell so you can see when we go live on these shows or when we put up any content. Definitely, man. Don't forget to tell everybody. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat. And throw in your bullfrog legs because we had a stew. We had a stew that night, man. I was eating some frog legs all night with the Georgia Bulldogs. You know what I'm saying? Feasting on them things, man. But yeah, so definitely, you know, subscribe to the channel, man. Like, share, comment on these videos if you got something to say, because we always gonna comment back. Hey, man, I'm gonna let my guy take us out. You got anything, man?
Hey, man, like my wonderful co-host said, man, we appreciate y'all and we really love the interaction. So please don't be shy. And especially as we're starting to wind down on this season, we live off of the feedback because it's a service to y'all. We love talking about this stuff and we would talk about it offline. But if there's things that you guys want us to talk about or further discuss, or you want to challenge our sports knowledge, our NFL knowledge, please kick it in the comments. Let us know as we prepare for season 2 coming up after this season so that we can continue to build and improve off of what we're giving you guys, which is content from the heart and from sharp minds of two, you know, positive young Black brothers out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also,
let me throw this out here too. Hey, it's a network, man. It's a network that I created. So if you have a show idea that you want to put on this network, maybe you, I know Merrick Gallar, he's a huge soccer fan. Maybe Merrick Gallar want to talk about some soccer because I don't talk soccer. You know what I'm saying? But I would love to see more content on the channel, man. You don't have to include me in your videos. I just want you to be able to do your thing. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want them dancing all in the videos, hey, man, come to Fan of Atlanta 365.
Come on. Talk to him. But
yeah, man, if you got a show idea that you want to come on, you know, you want to bring it to the network, hey, man, we all ears. You know, I would love to just see the channel grow, man. And that's why I created this as a network, because I want to see other shows, you know, take under the Fan of Atlanta's 365 umbrella, man. So definitely let us know if you have any you know, show ideas. Also, if you want to join the show, hey, don't be afraid, man. Come join us, debate with us. You know, do your research. We like to have our topics in the beginning of the week, so we have time to do our research. So if you want to join us, please let us know no later than Mondays, and we can kind of shoot you the information so that you can have all the information you need to do your research to come and debate topics with us. I know sometimes we make it look easy, but it's a lot of hard work, but at the same time, it's fun. If you enjoy talking sports, you'll definitely enjoy doing debate shows with your boys, Jeramy Hassan, the African man. But yeah, so other than that, man, it's been a great episode, man. Don't forget, man, stay safe out there, stay warm because it's cold out there. And you know, just help somebody if you can help somebody. Love on everybody, man. Lead with love. Don't lead with nothing else other than love, because love always wins. So, that's all I gotta say, man. Go Dogs.
I dig it, man. Lessons and blessings, all 2023 and beyond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You know what? Penn State.
All right, y'all. We'll holler at y'all next week.
Y'all be safe.